From the unexplained to the mundane, come join us on a journey to the fringe. Hello and welcome to Journey to the Fringe, now your favorite podcast, as decreed by us. We are your podcast hosts, Taylor and Chelsea, and today we're going to go on a bit of a royalty tour, Chelsea. This is going in no way the way that you think it's going right now.
Oh, man.
I'm going to start it off this way. Chelsea, when I say Queen of Canada, what does that make you think?
All right. Probably it's not me. I wish it was me. Maybe like King Charles.
I would have said Elizabeth, but Charles actually fits the demeanor as well, and my God, is
really
he his
does.
mom.
No, I got nothing.
If I were to just say Queen of Canada, I think that's the right way to say it. However, I'm actually talking about somebody known as the Queen of the Kingdom of Canada.
Uh-huh.
Which is an entirely different thing, apparently. And my God, I think this is our first trip down the QAnon rabbit hole. But today, Chelsea, we are covering a Canadian by the name of Romana Didulo. Have you ever heard of this woman?
No, I've never seen her on a coin either.
Well,
I don't think, at least.
Don't worry,
she's
currency will come up.
Okay.
That is definitely a part of this episode. Be prepared to learn a lot. But today, we're going to cover QAnon movement, I guess. It's really hard to say in Canada, with the Q being Queen of Canada.
What?
Yeah.
Is that what the Q stands for in QAnon?
No, the Q stands for a clearance level that original person said they had. And basically QAnon came about because this person said that Trump was actually running behind the scenes to drain the swamp and was going to have everybody executed. It was super weird. It's still very around, despite the fact that Donald Trump lost an election and the original guy who made all these claims has disappeared as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not going to focus on that part of it. We're going to focus on Romana here. Now, Romana is, surprisingly enough, a Filipino woman. Born in the 70s. We're not really sure when. It's probably early to mid, either 71 or 74. Moves to Canada in 1990, to Vancouver with her family. Had it not been for QAnon and extreme right-wing LARPing, she would largely be unknown, possibly homeless, but she didn't. 2016 is where we're really going to pick up the story, because up until that time, there's nothing really eventful that happens in her life. 2016, she forms what's called the Canada First Party, which you can still find remnants of on her YouTube page, Canada First, spelt 1ST. And this will introduce you to what Romana looks like.
Do I have to go there?
You can if you want. Canada First Party of Canada. There are 8 episodes in total. Nothing has been posted to this YouTube page for 3 years. And Chelsea, once you get there, I need you to tell me if that's what you envisioned the Queen of Canada looking like.
Canada First Party of Canada. Is that a... Yep, that is a woman. No, wasn't expecting that.
Hello Canada, I'm Romana Didulo. I'm the founder and leader of Canada First. Today I would like to speak with you about taxes. Personal income tax, small and medium businesses tax, large corporations tax, GST, and carbon tax. Let's start with your personal income tax. If you are earning $50,000 a year or less, you will pay 0 income tax. And from $50,000 to $500,000, you will pay 5%. If you are a senior citizen earning $100,000 a year or less, you will pay 0 income tax. And from $100,000 to $500,000, you will pay 5%.
Yeah, first off, it's not noticeable in this video because it's her standing alone. She is tiny. She's under 5 feet. I wouldn't call her overweight, just an average person, but very short. Not that authoritative in how she sounds. And at this point, too, I should say a lot of this episode is going to rely on journalism that was done by Mac Lamoro out of Vice News. He's been following her around for a long time, just reporting all this madness. If you want to learn more, go to Vice, read this guy. He's done great work on her.
Okay. On Vice, eh? Love it.
Yeah, great job. CBC, Global, and Vice are the 3 that really have done sufficient journalism on this.
Okay, and all her videos, her in front of a Canadian flag.
Yeah, it's always in front of a Canadian flag, and it's just random stories. Like, one of them is just explaining tax rates. under her party. And it's literally her just saying, if you make under 100,000, you don't pay taxes. If you make more, it's 5%. And she just says the numbers and like, that's it. It's very simplified. But you can see right from the start, she has a lot of libertarian leadings. Like the video I sent you is about whether or not she wears a mask. It's right as soon as it hits, it becomes very clear the direction she's going to be taking. And she says in that video she'll never wear a mask.
Okay.
Once COVID kind of hits, things start to change for her. She gets involved in QAnon on the message board. She has her own Telegram. And in September of 2020, she says that she was appointed Queen of the Kingdom of Canada by a man by the name of David J. Carlson, who calls himself the Commander-in-Chief or the King of the United States.
Oh no.
Crazy enough, the reason she gets appointed, she led a 2017 mission against Chinese communist military people that were occupying underground tunnels in Canada, where they were producing adrenochrome and trafficking humans and planning to start World War III by attacking the United States. So she led that effort.
What? Okay.
He also stated in this video on September 17th, 2021, I am the head of state, commander-in-chief, and head of government and Queen of Canada, replacing Queen Elizabeth II of England, who has now been executed for crimes against humanity.
Okay, and are there people that just accept this as... There
Yeah.
must be. Okay.
Yeah.
And they live in Canada?
Yeah. Some of them. So she
Okay.
has a following of about 70,000 to 80,000 people between all her social medias, probably the biggest one being Telegram. She does have a YouTube channel too for the Kingdom of Canada and a website, thekingdomofcanada.ca, where she posts all her decrees.
Yep, found this. Oh, that's a much better picture of her, if you can say there's a better picture of her.
Well, she's really grown into her regality, I guess.
So you could just declare this of yourself, hey?
Well, she decreed it.
Hmm.
She lived in Victoria during this time, which I don't think is that important. Weirdly enough, is a BC resident, so I didn't know that before I started doing this research. But she doesn't stay that way very long.
Okay.
When the vaccine comes out in November of 2021, she ended up getting detained by the RCMP, mostly because she made a decree on her website and on YouTube that all vaccines must be destroyed. She also told her followers that they need to shoot to kill healthcare providers who vaccinate minors against COVID-19. Yeah, like she's made very specific comments that you'll get an extra bullet in the head for each child that you've vaccinated.
Oh my god.
They basically did a mental health check. There's a law in BC where basically if you're showing signs of mental health issues, you can be detained for up to 48 hours for an evaluation. But she passed it, was released. That was in November of 2021. And at the start of 2022, she started what she considers her cross-Canada tour. And I think at this point, really, it just meant that she's living out of an RV. Yeah. And basically her whole group lives out of like 3 RVs that travel across Canada.
Okay.
As of May 24th, 2022, she had a statement when she was in a parking lot in Quebec where she was promoted to Queen of the World, her press secretary said, and this was a big development for the burgeoning leader, one that would bring them legitimacy, and she urged those who followed Didulo to stand up for their queen. This is a quote from the press secretary. Queen Romana has done all of the heavy lifting, and now it is up to we, the people, to stand in our authority and put these decrees into place. The only visible leader on this planet is Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana, period, and that's a mic drop. She didn't actually drop the mic. She said that's a mic drop.
I mean,
They can't afford to drop a mic.
if you're holding the mic, you might as well just drop it instead of saying that, because it doesn't feel like you're serious if you don't drop the mic.
Yeah.
For real. You can't just say drop, mic drop.
Whenever she's traveling around, I found it really hard to get a figure of like what this looks like. It seems like it's about 20 to 25 people that kind of travel with her.
Okay, so she has, what are those called? Entourage.
Yeah, I guess an entourage is a better word for it. Except for this next part that's coming up. Basically, it seems like when she was doing this cross-country tour, she was having followers tell her that she could stay in their area or hold her up so that she could park the RVs in this certain location. And this is how when she gets to places, sometimes there's more followers than others.
Mm-hmm.
In August of 2022, they made a stop in Peterborough, Ontario, where approximately 30 of her followers went to the Peterborough Police Department and attempted to seize police officers in what they characterize as a citizen's arrest for COVID crimes.
Okay, and did that go well for them?
They went up to the police. Didulo did not get out of the vehicle at all.
Well, why would you? It's not going to go well.
She was in a vehicle parked nearby, and she also claimed that military forces would appear to help them detain the police officers when they were there, which surprisingly never happened. Anyhow, 6 demonstrators end up laying hands on police officers to arrest them, which doesn't go great for them. They end up getting charged with assaulting police officers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Basically, that happens. They get arrested. The rest disperse. And Didulo later says on one of her live streams on Telegram that she had been present in Peterborough merely as an observer and not as a participant.
Yeah, I mean, she did observe that.
An investigation into claims made by one of her supporters stated he was seriously injured during the arrest, but this investigation was closed in December of 2022 after the complainant refused to provide evidence to the Special Investigation Unit.
I know this is at the wrong place to bring up, but I'm looking at it right now. What exactly is Telegram?
Telegram is basically a messaging service. I believe it self-deletes, but it's kind of like a conservative version of WeChat. Conservative groups have really clung on to it as this way that they're going to communicate.
Okay.
You can ask for access to her Telegram channel where she talks to everyone and does her royal decrees. But then you have to download the app. So I'm
trying to get in and I can't. This one has the best profile picture. It's her sitting at like a couple of computers looking like she's concentrating. And there's like some purple and white flags in the background.
Yeah, that's her flag for the Kingdom of Canada that says like love on it or whatever with the heart.
Oh, she got like official flags made.
Yeah.
Okay, continue, sorry.
Weirdly, she seems to have gotten a lot of her power from QAnon. When the official first Q kind of disappeared, she kind of took up the reins as one of the leaders of the movement.
Well, that would make sense if you're putting yourself out there as like very against vaccination and masks and stuff like that. People just like were so polarized about it that if they saw someone talking about that and were QAnon, I'm sure they'd get behind her 100%.
Yeah, and she really codes a lot of her language in the Freeman movement, which is basically, Chelsea, I don't know if you know the Freeman movement, but it's basically one of those no laws apply to me because I know the legal loopholes people. Like, people get pulled over by the police and they don't have registrations or a license because they say that, no, I'm not a corporation. Therefore, I do not need licenses to participate in society. You can't arrest me because you don't have the authority. Maritime law applies. The courts of Canada don't have any jurisdiction because they don't technically fly Canadian flags. Like, super weird loopholes.
Are those things?
Yeah, they're called free man on the land, where they basically believe that no laws actually apply to them. They don't pay taxes.
I know they believe it, but is that actually a thing?
No, it's not a real thing.
Okay,
there are
that's
people
what I
who
thought.
do it. You can't just loophole your way out of paying taxes unless you have $1 billion, in which case your lawyers will loophole it out.
And not having like laws apply to you, that's not fair.
Yeah.
And maritime law makes me think of Arrested Development.
Actually, a really famous one in Kelowna here. His name's David Lindsay, I believe.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, he is actually labeled as a vexatious litigant in BC, so he can't bring lawsuits in BC without having, he has to talk to the court and they'll say, okay, this is actually a reasonable lawsuit, you can bring it. Because he's sued so many people that they were vexatious.
Oh my gosh. I'm surprised they would even hear him out at that point if he's done it so much.
But he's in court right now because he assaulted a security guard at a COVID rally.
I was just going to say
outside
he
of the
was the
hospital.
anti-vaxxer guy, right?
Yeah. But anyhow, all of his money actually comes from giving seminars on how you don't actually have to pay taxes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, sounds lucrative. I mean,
Yeah,
I could do that
but
too.
anyhow, this is such a weird group, the QAnon thing, but it's not one thing in itself. And in fact, there's a whole bunch of controversy around whether or not Romana is Queen of Canada or if she's an undercover operative for the government that's meant to make everything look ridiculous and lie to them.
What?
So, yeah, Didulo has not been universally adopted within the QAnon movement, with some influencers warning she might be a government operative tasked with discrediting the movement. She responds to this by threatening threatening her detractors with execution, as you do.
As you do when you're a queen. Yep.
Yeah. Around this time, the Peterborough thing goes on. The trucker protest, which really wasn't truckers at the end of the day, but whatever, that's a whole other thing. She shows up at that, and apparently she decided to burn a Canadian flag. No idea why, but at this point, she gets denounced by a lot of QAnon, including David Carlson, who appointed her Queen of Canada. And he says that he's appointed a new monarch of Canada, ending the relationship with Didulo.
Wait, shouldn't we be doing an episode on that person? And hold on.
I don't know who it ends up going to.
She's an immigrant, right?
Yeah.
In this country, and she burns the Canadian flag.
And also has a political party called Canada First. And like one of the last things about Canada First is that we need to secure the border.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Didulo
interesting.
says that's not really Carlson, you idiots. It may just be a clone of Carlson who was put there to disinform you. So
What is the story you're telling?
And at this point, I think it's important that we talk about her decrees and things that she's saying.
I have them up right
So
here.
the decrees are all over the map. There's way too many emojis in there for them to be
I
decrees.
was literally just gonna make that comment. I have a page up that's full of emojis, and I was gonna tell you there seems to be a lot of emojis.
Yeah. But some of the claims that she's made, one, she is an extraterrestrial with access to secret New Age healing technologies.
Hold on, do blue avians come up?
Blue avians do not come up, unfortunately.
Okay, does David Wilcock?
I don't think so.
He might. I don't. Okay, let's just leave it open.
Yeah. You can at least have an implied David Wilcock throughout this episode, I think.
Yeah, he's in it for sure.
She also abolished utility bills and debts, just in general, debts.
When we don't pay our utility bills, we just cite this decree, right?
We're going to get to that later on here.
Okay.
She also banned the extraction of adrenochrome in Canada, which, Chelsea, I don't... Do you know what adrenochrome is?
Yeah, I've read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. That's
okay,
the adrenaline gland.
But this is a QAnon thing where they harvest it from children to keep you young.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, she outlawed it.
It's really hard to get your hands on, that's for sure.
And specifically, like, you have to murder the children to get the adrenochrome.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's...
and that was a joke that I said. Not in good taste, I don't think, but I said it nonetheless.
And she also says that she doesn't worry about security because she has an armada of spacecrafts watching over her at all times. She's also good friends with Vladimir Putin, who she talks to on a regular basis.
Yeah, he lives in the UFO, I think.
Anyhow, she does her cross-Canada thing. She makes it to Peterborough. By the winter of 2022, she ends up in Nova Scotia, kind of slowly making her way that way. And then in March of 2023, she starts issuing her own money.
Is that not illegal?
It would be if you're trying to use it as currency.
Oh, she didn't want to use it. She was saving it.
Like, this is really weird at this point. First off, it doesn't look anything like Canada bucks. Or, you know, Canadian dollars as we call them colloquially. Canada bucks are actually what they are. They're basically the size of a check. They will have 100,000 written on them. They have her seal on it, and like that's it. And she starts handing these out to people that are following her, and it's like not specified what backs this security at all. It just says 100,000 on it. She gives it to her closest followers as a first step to a more general distribution. And several of her fans said they were hoping to use these dollars that she's giving out to start paying their bills for utilities, mortgages, anything that they can. Even though she specifically says, don't use these. We can't use these yet. Like, I'm giving them to you, but like once the decree hits, you can start using them, but these aren't to be used at all.
Okay.
Once she gave them out, she crowdfunded the cost of it, and then she also started requesting more money in that press conference where she gave out all the money.
I was just gonna ask, where is she getting all this money? Because like obviously she had a nice seal done up. She had some flags made. She's given out fake money. It's
basically through donations from her followers. Vice News reported that she had crowdfunded over the time she's been the Queen of Canada at least $140,000.
Holy shit.
They have no idea how much, though, because obviously she's a private citizen. She would have to make declarations and show us. It's not like she's a publicly traded company.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. So the money has the look of a novelty check or board game money, and despite their cheap look, Didulo promised her fans that they have interdimensional security devices on them. And in chat rooms dedicated to Didulo, her fans celebrated the false hope given to them. One person said that he's going to attempt to pay his utility bills with the money, and another said she's excited because they've been living in their car and this could get them a roof over their head.
Oh no.
And this is a quote from this person. I am so hopeful that the loyalty money will allow me to purchase a prefab home or one of those tiny homes. How wonderful that would be for me and many others like me around Canada. I can't wait to hear when or how I can use this loyalty money for this purpose. That's the end of the quote. Although loyalty money that she handed out can only be used, as she has said, at certain realtors. She has not specified any of them. And then she promised her followers that one day soon, she would make all her followers extremely wealthy. Is the quote that she gave. One day, Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana will issue a royal decree giving instructions to when and where and whom can cash their loyalty money, with the instructions to the Kingdom of Canada Treasury to cash the checks. On a property in Nova Scotia on February 26th of 2023, several of Didulo's followers came to the property to take an oath declaring their sovereignty under natural law in front of Didulo before they could receive their loyalty money. They had to say, I, their name, hereby receive this 100,000 backed by gold and silver loyalty money of the Kingdom of Canada under the natural law, and so it is. That was their oath.
Oh.
And then they watch her sign the money. There were 13 people who did this declaration. 2 of them were kids.
Yep, that tracks.
And at the end of this ritual, Didulo gave a short speech that she had just made these people sovereign citizens. That's a different term for a free man on the land. And they are now free of the traditional banking system. She showed a video of the animated version of Aladdin showing the genie being set free to symbolize how she was setting her followers free from the current economic system. Owing to the secretive nature of this group and how strictly they control the narrative they put out to their audience, it's very difficult to ascertain what actually goes on inside. This is Mac, who I was talking about, the journalist. He has been granted a bit of insight from a few former members who are willing to share stories of their time with Didulo, both on and off the record. There's a woman by the name of Kim Churchill, an Ontario woman used to work at a radio station, but that was many years ago. She first learned of Didulo from a mutual acquaintance in 2021, while the crew were on their non-stop Canadian road trip. Churchill came to believe in Didulo rather quickly and eventually reached out to offer her aid. To gain access to the Queen, she had to do a video call with 2 of Didulo's most diehard followers. Kevin, a young man from Quebec, who is Didulo's driver, security guard, and French translator, and Darlene, a woman from BC who had become her chief of staff and is essentially Didulo's personal assistant. Upon hearing that Churchill was willing to bring them goods and a trailer and used to work in the media, Kevin and Darlene gave her the okay to come up, and she traveled to Nova Scotia to join the group full time. It was very cultish, Churchill told Vice News with an embarrassed laugh as we talked over the phone and some weeks after she left the group. Quote, I've never been a cult, but that's a cult. It's definitely a cult. End quote.
Yeah, I was just thinking it has some cult-like qualities, but is QAnon considered a cult?
I guess it really depends on, like, as a whole, like just the messaging board. Not necessarily, but it has a lot of cult characteristics.
It does, yeah.
But like this group that follows this woman around, definitely a cult.
Definitely. Are you going to read any of these decrees?
No, because they don't make any sense.
Can I read this one just quick? It has to do with what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This one is Decree 157, re-election and religion funding equals 0. Star emoji. Her Majesty, I am Queen Romana at HRM Queen Romana Didulo. Star emoji. Head of State and Commander-in-Chief, Head of Government, Queen and President.
Oh yeah, sorry. I call her Queen of Canada for short. She has a real long title.
Yeah. September 17, 2023, which is not that long ago. In the Kingdom of Canada, Royal Decree, re-election. Yeah, okay, she has all her official headings. I am HRM, Queen Romana Didulo, Commander-in-Chief, President, National Indigenous Chief, Head of Government, Head of State, and Queen of the Kingdom of Canada. Hereby issued the Royal Decree effective today, September 17, 2023, prohibiting the use of the We the People's money from being spent on politics, political activities, and religious activities. All the previous funding allocated to political activities and religious activities is to be returned to the Kingdom of Canada's National Treasury immediately. This royal decree is effective immediately and retroactively on July 1st, 1867. This is how all of them end and begin with what I said. And so it is. Happy face, finger pointing up, handwriting, the justice scales. Maybe that's a palace, alien head. And then
there's always an alien head.
Underneath this makes no sense to me. It's like a magnifying glass with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frogs. Magnifying glass, 5 frogs. Magnifying glass, 5 frogs.
That is shorthand for Pepe, that meme frog QAnon grabbed onto.
Okay, I was wondering why that was on every single page.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to read all her stuff.
And usually there's a hashtag on there. It's like WWG.
Oh yeah, WWG1 WGA.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's on the next page. Then the prayer hands and earth.
That is shorthand for another QAnon thing. It means where we go one, we go all.
Okay.
Which was a rallying cry on January 6th.
Oh, okay. I didn't know this. I don't know anything about QAnon, apparently. Yeah, I just had to read that because this is, like, insane.
And yeah, I'm going to keep going into what Churchill said here. The group fluctuates in size as people are constantly coming and going, but typically sits between 6 and 12 diehard Didulo heads. For months, they lived on the front yard of a local Didulo fan, a woman who runs a holistic health store in Tatamagouche in Nova Scotia, and a collection of RVs and trailers that appear to barely be winterproofed. They didn't have enough food, and much of what they did have was rotten because of a lack of proper storage. What Churchill found only reinforced how shitty life is for roving Didulo acolytes. Multiple former members of the cult have told Vice News those who stay with Didulo face never-ending abuse and threats, poor sleeping arrangements, limited and unhealthy diets, and have their lives micromanaged by Didulo. Churchill was no different. While she said that the leader seems personable and nice initially, she's quick to snap and screams at her followers. She's incredibly paranoid, worried about infiltrators and ex-followers out to get her, and set up several security cameras on the property that 2 of her crew needed to watch at all times.
Yeah, this is...
And those living there were expected to stay within the camera's sights. Direct quote here. Everyone has to say their whereabouts if they have to go off camera. Like if someone was going to go to the shed and get a shovel, they had to announce they're going to the shed. Then they're in the shed. Then they're getting the shovel. Then they're leaving the shed. Now they're on their way back to the trailer. Like it was step by step, like micromanaging, like on a level I've never seen before. If she said you have 15 minutes, you had 15 minutes. If you take 16 minutes, you're hearing about it. She's yelling at you.
Sounds fun.
A typical day at the Nova Scotia campground starts with the group getting up around 7 a.m. and clearing out the blinding security lights they set up the night before. And then there's a safety check of all the vehicles. Once everything is copacetic, they pile into Didulo's RV, which is called the Command Center. Chelsea, you can find photos of it. It's covered in stuff about the Queen of Canada. And when Didulo is finally ready to address her audience, they all stand, some craning their heads so as to not hit the roof of the trailer. And as she exits the RV's bedroom area into the kitchen, she then launches into her daily speech and the day's tasks are assigned. She would keep her followers busily unproductive all day. This is another common refrain from those who traveled with Didulo, that she keeps her crew so busy that they have no time for themselves or to fight back. Like with many hierarchical communities, the abuse trickles downwards. Didulo will lose her mind on second in command, who will scapegoat another person, and so on. The group wasn't just dealing with abuse from a controlling cult leader who they believe is a royal alien. They're also living in filth. The trailers are occasionally full of rotting food, and tracked in mud and dog shit. Even though they lived only steps away from a sizable ranch-style home, Didulo forced her followers to go days and even weeks without showers or doing laundry. Didulo, meanwhile, had a private bathroom on her RV, and when it broke, she kicked followers off the second RV and turned it into her own private toilet.
Oh.
There's a feeling of paranoia among those staying with Didulo. They routinely rat each other out for forbidden behavior and get others in trouble with their queen. They were told to keep secrets from other people who lived on the property and were constantly at each other's throats. And the worst job of all was that of Didulo's personal assistant, which is currently held by Darlene. This organization of wasted energy proliferate the group. Multiple members told Vice News, for example, they would invite people to stay with them, but no plan for where they would sleep. When one man arrived, Didulo told Churchill she, quote, hadn't received a download for that yet, end quote, and just forced everyone to cram together in one trailer, meaning 3 women were up in a small trailer with a man who no one knew. And the man eventually ended up sharing a single bed with one of the women. And in many ways, the dog on the property, and there were many, were treated better than Didulo's people. The queen certainly seemed to care about the two dogs she adopted, and they were dubbed the royal puppies, although she also recently said that she fed them ivermectin, the veterinary dewormer drug that became the COVID denier drug du jour during the pandemic.
What the hell?
At one point, Darlene told her followers that Didulo exorcised a demon from one of the puppies who was being lethargic. And in one case, Churchill said that she was told Didulo made Caven, who was, remember, one of her most important followers, sleep on the floor of an RV while the puppies slept on the bed. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what kind of person this is and this group.
Yeah, this is pretty messed up.
Yeah, they end up getting kicked out of this small town in Nova Scotia. There was a town of about 700 people. They end up driving them out.
That sounds about right for the small towns in Nova Scotia.
The group ends up going to Saskatchewan. In September of 2023, they get kicked out of a small town by the name of Kamsack. This one guy, Ricky Mans, who lives in Richmond, Saskatchewan, he bought a school. Like, it was an old public school he bought, and he was going to turn it into a cannabis grow-up. He started a company called Cannabis Botanicals. He's like, oh, I own a school. Why don't you guys just stay here? From September of last year to early this year, they've been living in this school in Richmond, Saskatchewan, a town of about 150 people.
And let me guess, is there like running water or anything like this? Is it like...
Not a lot's actually known about the school, and in fact the town of 100 people doesn't even think it's legally zoned for people to sleep in.
100 people.
Like, there's only two public buildings really that aren't houses in this town: the school and the hockey rink.
Oh my god, oh here it is.
Anyhow, they're staying in it. Nobody knows what's going on in there, but this town is super pissed off this guy let them stay there. And she keeps giving royal decrees from this school, sending cease and desist letters to the city council, and basically saying if they don't follow her decrees, they will be executed in the playground.
Can you imagine? Can't you call the cops on them?
You can, but the cops have a really weird relationship with her in that, like, technically she's made vague threats, nothing specific to be acted upon.
I mean,
they can do the mental health.
Executing someone in the playground seems pretty pointless.
I know, that's what I think too, but at the same time, she's made these threats 100 times and, like, nothing's ever come of them, other than one wellness check.
Okay, that's because she, like, probably puts it on her stationery and signs.
She doesn't really sign, she emojis them. That's how you know it's official signature.
Oh my gosh, this is insane.
That happens. This town's super pissed off. They go and talking to people from Kamsack, and they're like, how did you get her out of there? So they had a protest in October trying to drive them out and, like, just honking their horns so that nobody can talk, and they're all super upset. I think during this protest that the town had, Rick Mans ends up getting charged with assault by the RCMP. He ended up just having his first court appearance for it. Finally, they see on a Telegram live stream that she had this, like, propane heater set up in the school, and they're like, oh, thank God. I think that's a fire issue. So they get the fire marshal to go check it out. And when he shows up, they just leave. They don't even have to get kicked out. They just leave.
Oh, so they're not in the school anymore?
They're not in the school. They're 11 kilometers out of town, staying on farmland.
Oh my gosh. I can see, like, in a big city where it's like, okay, ignore it and they go away. But, like, in a town of 100 people.
Yeah.
I would probably be so pissed too. Because they're, like, probably taking up more space than everyone in the town does.
Well, yeah, they just increased the city's, like, population by almost 50% by living in this school.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
They have that big security thing, so it's not like they're quiet or small or unbeknownst.
Yeah.
But yeah, currently they're living on this farmland outside of Richmond. Town people are relieved, but they don't fully think it's the last they'll have seen of her. And I have no idea what to expect from the Queen of Canada from here on out.
Oh, this is the whole story.
I can tell you that there have been significantly negative impacts for people who are following her, particularly people who believe her decrees. I found one story out of Red Deer where this woman took her decrees very seriously and said, oh, I don't need to pay my mortgage anymore, because she outlawed debt and banks.
Right.
So she just stopped paying her mortgage. The banks have foreclosed on Bonnie and her husband.
No.
According to court documents seen by Vice News, the Didulo fan owes over $150,000 on her mortgage, which she stopped paying because the Queen told her the banking system was fake and the debt would eventually be forgiven. This is a quote from this Bonnie who's losing her house. Queen Romana said the White Hats, which are the forces Didulo followers believe fight alongside them, are in charge of the banks. So I was shocked when I was foreclosed on at the end of October. Going on 3 months now with them trying to get access to list my house, giving me till January 31st to comply or remove us with force. The kids were really great when we had the power and gas disconnected. They went with the flow, but to have them removed from their home is not right.
Oh my god, people are so stupid.
One of Didulo's most damaging actions is her royal decrees, a series of proclamations she made about rules that exist in her version of Canada but obviously have no impact in reality. Decrees which include statements that rent, power, and utilities are all free. Didulo's fans celebrated these decrees, and most diehards declared they stopped paying their bills. Now many of the very same followers are discussing their power being shut off or homes being foreclosed. Bonnie recently begged Didulo that the royal decrees need to be enforced before she loses her home. Court documents indicated on January 31st of 2024, Bonnie and her family will be forcibly removed from the property listed by a real estate agent on behalf of the bank, and Bonnie and her family had lived in that property since 2011.
Oh my god.
So this group, although it is ridiculous and mind-shittingly insane, some people actually believe it, and it is hurting them in such severe ways.
Yeah.
I don't know what I expected from this episode, but that's what I got for you.
That was a whole lot of learning for me because I literally knew that none of this existed. And I also learned in looking at the decrees that she had that she is, hold on, let me pull it up again. I had to. Number 162, read banning and prohibiting the use of We the People's money to fund all private secret spy agencies, including Five Eyes, equals 0. Dismantle all. So she is also aware of Five Eyes and does not like the work they're doing. So there's some pretty amazing decrees. I love the work that Vice does. And yeah, this is a cult.
And like their flag, if you ever see it, is a purple flag, a white maple leaf with a golden sword in the middle, and over top it says God loves you.
It's a little different from her seal on her decrees, which says humanity, peace, prosperity, then underneath God, creator, light, love. This one's gold and purple. Still has a sword, no maple leaf in sight though.
If you ever see that logo on an RV, you're in the presence of royalty.
Yeah.
I do need to just include this. I don't think it has much to do with this whole story, but it does link back to previous episodes. On the Wikipedia page for Romana, there's specifically an entire section called Theosophy.
What?
In her persona as Queen of Canada, Didulo presents a spiritual worldview that borrows elements and symbolism from the theosophical movement of Helena Blavatsky. And esoteric groups in the same lineage, such as Guy and Edna's Ballard's I Am organization and Elizabeth Clare Prophet's Church Universal and Triumphant. Although Didulo never acknowledges these influences, religious studies researcher Carmen Celestini and Armineth Amarazingam argue that, quote, parallels between her movement and those from the past are hard to conceive of as simply coincidental, end quote. Some of her followers appear to be aware of the esoteric affiliation, as they sometimes use concepts promoted by those groups when discussing Didulo. As with Didulo, the use of decrees were a central feature of the I Am movement, both as commands from the Ascended Master and as a request from the supplicants for the payments of bills and other blessings. The decrees were also used by the Church Universal and Triumphant, with a change of tone that anticipates some of Didulo's more belligerent utterances. Didulo's followers are urged to read her decrees every night and discuss their content among them. The purple flame was a central symbol used by the Guy and Edna Ballards, which were often called twin flames, which is something Chelsea and I actually just watched.
Yes. On Netflix.
An expression Didulo sometimes uses in her messages, and her references to the etheric domain also appear to be borrowed from the spiritual leaders. So yeah, this is a very troubling group, and it's not huge, but it has a cult following. It was a requested episode. I thought we should give an idea, and it was really just somebody wanted an update on what was happening with that school in Saskatchewan. And I just felt like we needed to know more about the Queen.
I've never heard about her, so I appreciate the suggestion for the episode, because now I feel like I've grown as a person having known that this is existing in Canada. I'm a little bit speechless after that, though, that this is going on.
And we'll give you guys updates as things progress, but I don't think there'll be enough for a wholly own episode again. But in the meantime, I have been Taylor, here with Chelsea. We are Journey to the Fringe. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Journey to the Fringe. If you have liked what you have listened to, please like, share, subscribe, or follow, depending on what venue you are listening to us through. Also, please, if possible, leave a 5-star review, as that really helps us in the algorithms. Should you wish to interact with us, please check us out on your social media of choice. I bet you we are there. And if you really want to communicate with us and give us ideas for new episodes, or tell us that we're wrong and terrible, either way, please send us an email at journeytothefringe@gmail.com. For now, I'll see you in the next episode.